every class we start with Chazara. Chazara is repetition, because really what the main learning that a person does when learning Gemara is once they repeat it, because it's not the analogy I gave last week is a little bit of a puzzle. So the very first time you put together the puzzle, you're really looking at just individual pieces, or maybe you're looking at the area to make sure this piece matches this specific area, because this is red and I'm looking for the area that has red, so I look like this. But only after you put every single one of the pieces together can you step back and say, okay, let me actually, now that I've pieced it together, let me look at the whole puzzle and actually see what I'm looking at. Again, this is assuming you don't have the box. You just get the analogy, in other words, if you just have the pieces. Okay? And take a step back and say, well, okay, this whole time I've been looking at this piece and this piece and this piece, so I knew there was a balloon, I knew there was a kid, I knew there was a lake, whatever. But now I can take a look at it and I can see how each piece really is part of a whole big picture. So therefore, every time you do Chazara and you repeat the Sugya, you get a chance to actually see it in a better light and again and see more detail and more detail. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to review the Sugya, and then we're going to move on to the next Sugya. Okay. So now when I say we're going to repeat it, I don't mean I'm going to repeat it and you guys are going to nod your heads. I mean like you're going to do it. So go ahead. Meaning with the chavruta, go through it. Ideally, we want to reach the point where you could read it out loud to yourself or to a chavruta, where you can read through the whole sugya and you can follow along in your head like the logical stages. So if the sheet that, again, we did this last week together, and for those who weren't here, you might need a refresher, because for those of you who weren't here last week, it's been like 2 months, right? Like since we've had a class. So it's like, listen, if you were in class now, I'd say, listen, you guys had a chance to make it up, and though you can't hold up the whole class, but I'm not going to say that. So what we're going to do is, before you guys are going to do it on your own, let's just remember, not going to read it from the inside, because I want you guys to do it from the inside. So let's just remember the stages and the logical structure and the flow. So please, you have in front of you this. Just a second. This. Okay? We're gonna review this together, and then you are all going to practice reading it in the Gemara yourselves. Okay? Okay. So let's remember the stages. Okay? We have, what's the first stage? We have a question, right? We have a question. No, wait, we're going to do it like this. We're going to do this really quickly, because we know this really, really well. Okay? So we have a she'elah, which is what? What is the question? Come on, everyone.
In this particular one.
Yeah, what's the question? What are we trying to figure out?
What does it mean that the mitzvot of the sun
does
sun unfolded?
No, mitzvot of, what is it?
fathers on the sun. Mitzvot ben.
No, haben al av.
Sun on father.
Sun on the father.
Mitzvot, son on, or upon, whatever, upon father mean. What mitzvot are these? What is this? Okay, that's our she'elah. I know you can't really see this. I'm going to find a different marker here. Okay. Again, all I'm doing now, people, is we're just going over what we've already seen. So that's, there you go. That's our question. Okay? And then what do we have? What's next? Really? Remember, it's a compound question.
Yeah.
Right? What comes right after the she'elah, as part of the she'elah? An ilema, which does what? We're not going to go over the function words now. We know the function words. We just want to remember the sugya. This is what we're doing. We're just trying to remember the sugya. And then you guys are going to read it from the inside on your own. So, what does the ilema do?
It eliminates an answer.
Eliminates a possible answer. It says, don't tell me. And it gives us a possible answer. Right? So we have a she'elah, which includes 3 stages, right? We have the she'elah, and then we have, right? What does mitzvot haben al av mean? And then we have, don't tell me. Don't even think, right? Don't tell me That it's what? That it's.
What the father?
Everyone with us? Andrew, you with us?
Yep.
Alex, you with us? Okay. Don't tell me that it is.
It is what the son does for the father.
Don't tell me that it's son's obligation to his parents. To parents, like what? What would be obligations of a kid to his parents?
To honor them.
To honor them, right? We'll see later on exactly what it entails. Feeding them, clothing them, taking care of them, right? Don't tell me it's kibud hurim, like respecting your parents. Don't tell me that. Why can it not be that?
Because women are exempt.
Because we know that this phrase, okay, the Mishnah tells us that whatever this is referring to, women are exempt from. And are women exempt from honoring their parents? No. And then that's what the Gemara does. Then it comes and it brings us a Braita, brings us a Tanaic source to prove to us that both men and women have to respect their parents. Okay? And then we go back to our original. Okay, so we have what does mitzvot of the son upon the father? What does that mean? Don't tell me it means that that phrase means son's obligation to parents, because that's impossible. Because the Braita tells us explicitly that both men and women must respect their parents. Okay?
Just opinions or fact that?
What? From where does the Braita prove it? And remember, look, you can look inside. Look inside or look at your chart. From where does the Braita prove? Ish. Wait, no, not from that part. Ish imo v'aviv tira. A man, they shall respect their parents. Who's they? Right. So plural, meaning not just man, rather man and woman. Are people with us? Yeah? Okay. Yeah?
Yeah. The only thing is, sorry.
This is the question. This is what you wrote here.
No, I understand. But the Braita is talking about respect. There might be other obligations of the son to his father.
Excellent question. Excellent question. But the Mishnah is being categorical. What is the first word of the Mishnah? Look at the first word. It's an excellent question. Look at the first word of the Mishnah.
Kol.
What is kol? All. You're being categorical. So if there's even one mitzvah, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You're saying, oh, maybe it's some women are obligated and some women are not. Because you're saying there's not only respect of parents, there's a lot of other obligations you have towards your parents. Like fearing them. Like not striking them. Like not cursing them. It's a special issue for your children to strike you. A person's not allowed to strike anyone. There's a special issue for a child not to strike their parent, punishable by death. Only if they draw blood, though. So don't worry. Don't get too excited. Whichever way you want to take it. Which always raises an interesting question. What about a doctor who is treating as a parent, or needs to give them a shot?
Dentist.
Or a dentist needs to give them. Or a parent who has diabetes and the child needs to do the whatever. Technically speaking, that is an issa d'oraita. For a child to draw blood from the father is an issa d'oraita, punishable by death.
Well, if it's a lawyer.
What? So it's not simple. Long discussions in halacha. The bottom line is, I'll jump to the end just because we raised it, is that if there's a possibility of anyone else doing it, it should just be an absolute last resort. But if it's for health reasons, then obviously it would be mutar. But only when there's no other possibility. Again, go to a bad doctor versus going to your son who's a doctor, who's a good doctor. Yes, go to your son who's a good doctor because it's a health issue. But if everything else is equal, it should be a last resort because, again, it's an issa d'oraita for a child to draw blood for a parent. Okay, close parentheses. So that's why it's an excellent question. It's not only that mitzvah is talking about only kibud, or actually that one's actually not even talking about kibudery. That one's talking about morav, awe, or fear of your parents. So you're saying, well, maybe that's the only one it's talking about, but
Yeah, cool.
you see why it says all. All means all.
Any mitzvot that only male children are obligated for, that female children are not obligated?
Towards the parents?
Towards the parents, yeah.
No. Because look.
Cool.
No, he's asking the opposite.
Yeah.
So look at the Mishnah. Excellent question. Look at the mitzvah. Kol mitzvot ben ala ahad. Okay? Anashim chayavim, anashim tuot. All the mitzvot that we now know that what does this phrase means, all the mitzvot that a parent needs to do to the children, men are obligated, women are not. Look at the continuation. The Chol mitzvot ha'aval ben, what is ha'aval ben going to be? It's going to be the opposite. Mitzvot that the child needs to the parents, echad anashim ve'echad nashim chayavim. Both men and women are obligated to do. Now we didn't get to that point of the Mishnah, okay? But I'm going to answer, just because you asked me a question about material that's ahead of us, I won't leave you hanging, and I'll say, no, the Mishnah will explicitly say that mitzvah that a child does to the parent, men and women are completely equal in. And there's no mitzvah, there's no obligation you have towards your parents that your sister does not. Okay? Okay. Just a second. I'm in the middle of my meal, so that's why I'm not saying a bracha on this. I have the tchina stain to prove it. For those of you who were here at the beginning.
Yeah, we vouch for you, Rabbi.
Okay. So, that's our, right? Everyone with us? That's our she'elah. All this, we did all this, we have this, we're just remembering it. The next stage was what? What comes after she'elah? Tshuva? What was the tshuva? What are the mitzvot? What does the phrase son upon the father mean? Right? So, and we said, no, don't tell me X, rather tell me Y. What is the answer? Someone help us out here. We're not doing this on the inside. You can look at your notes, you can look at the Gemara, but we're not actually reading it because you guys are going to practice that on your own in a minute. What is the answer? So what does the phrase mitzvot haben al ha'av mean? Someone?
These are mitzvahs of the father on the son.
Right. Obligations of father or father to his children, to his son, right? So that men are obligated, women are not obligated, meaning the obligations you have to your children, you have them, your wife does not have them. Okay, she's exempt from them. What did we have after, right? What did we have after the tshuva? We had a raya, we had a proof. What was the proof? It was a quote from a Tanaic source that explicitly said, right? Explicitly said, here are the mitzvot that a father has towards his son. What are they? 5 things.
It's Brit Milah.
Brit Milah, Pidyon Haben.
Swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming is that's the extra one, yeah. Teaching him a trade. Teaching him Torah. What was the other one? I don't even remember. Just a second. Oh, marry him off, right? Marry him off. And there are those who say you also are obligated to teach him how to swim. Okay? By the way, do you have to actually teach him how to swim? And do you actually have to teach him Torah?
Yeah.
Do you actually have to teach him a trade? Yourself? No, not necessarily. Can you use yeah.
Doing a wrist, like you're not doing.
Just like with a wrist. You don't have to necessarily do it yourself. You can appoint someone to do it. You don't necessarily have to teach it. If I had to teach my children how to swim, it wouldn't achieve very much. I pay someone to do it. Do I teach my kids a trade? Not necessarily. I pay, just like all of you guys, a lot of money to other people, in some of your cases, me, to do it for you. Right? So all these things, it's not necessarily that you have to do them, but you do have to do them. But not everything do you have to do yourself. I can be doing myself by trusting someone who can do it better than me, meaning you're doing it on my behalf. When you say when you have the mohel do the brit for your child, usually I'm sure many of you remember the mohel will say to you, will ask you, do you appoint me to be your shaliach, or will give you. Sometimes we'll give you the knife and say, "Do you want it?" It's like they do it half jokingly, but it's serious. They, do you? Right? Anyone have that experience? Do you want to go ahead and do it yourself? Ha 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 ha. No, thank you. And then he's, okay, so you like me to do it for you? And people are like, is he making a joke? No, he's actually, because it's your chiyuv. But if you don't want to do it because you can't, you don't know how, you're scared to, whatever, fine. I'll appoint me. Fine, give me the knife and I'll do it for you. But I'm doing it for you, right? Okay. Same thing with learning Torah, same thing with learning a trade. But these are all your obligations. You're just having someone else doing it on your behalf. Okay? Okay. Close parentheses. So yeah, we have a she'ela, we have a tshuva, and we have our raya. Okay? What do we have after our raya? If you look at, especially at page 19, that's the one that really shows it. We had an offshoot. What did we have? Let's look at this from the inside, because a lot of people weren't with us even before Pesach when we did this. So where did we reach? We reach, where are we now? Okay.
If you don't teach him.
Let's read the Tanina. We are here. Let's read here Tanina. Everyone see the Tanina? It is. If everyone sees where it says Gemara, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows down.
Tanina leha?
Tanina leha, yes. It says Tanina leha letanu Rabbanan. The Braita says the same thing that the Mishnah said in the following way: Ha'av chayav bivno. A father is obligated to his son, lemulo, lifdoto, ulelamdo Torah, uleasio isha, ulelamdo omanut. Right? Those are the 5 things. V'yashomrim af lashito b'mayim, which means what? There are those who say also to teach him how to swim. Rabbi Yehuda added to this, Kol she'eno melamed et beno umanut. Anyone who does not teach his son umanut, meaning a trade, melamdo listut. What's melamdo listut? Teaches him thievery. Then the Gemara says, listut sal kadatach. What is that?
Is that what you really mean?
What stage is it? What function is this? Sal kadatach? It's a kushiyah, correct. Kushiyah is sal kadatach. You would possibly think this. Okay, again, this is on our sheets, right? Kushiyah. No, you really trying to say if I don't teach my son to trade, I'm teaching him how to steal? But you you actually think that I'm teaching him how to steal? And then what comes after kushiyah? What always comes after kushiyah? A tirutz, right? A rebuttal. What is the rebuttal? Ke'ilu melamdo listut. What's ke'ilu? As if you're teaching him thievery. Why is it as if you're teaching him thievery? Because if he doesn't have a trade, what option is he going to have? What's he going to end up doing? If he can't make a living, he'll steal because he can't make a living, so he has no choice, right? And that's it. That's our Sugya. Okay, that's our Sugya. And what we want to do now is, any questions on the logical sequence and what leads to what and how it unravels. Okay, so now in Chavrutas you're going to practice reading it. Last time, and I apologize after that, I thought to myself maybe I should have done it last time. I put people on the spot and we read, each one took a turn reading the whole thing on their own. So if anyone wants, I'm willing to ask KosherTube to take it down. But until then, if anyone wants to see how they did, they all did well. They all did great. But anyhow, so in Chavrutas, read through it, and the way you want to read through it is when you really fully understand the different stages and how they play into each other, you then will be able to read it well. And when you feel that you're reading it well, you know you've really got it down. Okay? So go ahead, and if you get stuck, go back to your sheet or the board or whatever, and make sure you actually fully understand it. Because you want to basically read each section. Each section is a reading unit. It'd be like saying, if I'm reading an English piece, I would say, someone who's just learning English, I would say, well, first, read the first sentence. How do I know when the first sentence ends? Because I understand what it's saying. How are you today? I would stop after the after the word today. Why? I would take a breath then. I would change the intonation to some degree because I understand what I'm reading, I understand what it's doing. How are you today? Oh, I thank you, I'm doing fine. Meaning, when you understand what each section is doing, you can then read through it. Okay? So go ahead, find the chavruta, and although we have an odd number here, but I know maybe the three could be together, or you know what, how about the two of you together and I'll be with Lawrence?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand.
And correct each other, that's what chavrutas do.
The Kushya and the Teirut, but really what's that got to do with the whole Shaila to begin with? It's sort of an ancillary point.
It's you see?
It's an offshoot.
It's an offshoot.
But it doesn't really have any...
It has to do with the main question. It doesn't. You're right. It does not have to do with the main question. It's an offshoot of the statement made by Amar Rabbi Yehuda, which was part of the quote.
So
meaning the quote is brought. The quote of the Braita is brought to support as a proof for our answer. Right. Part of that quote included a statement by Rabbi Yehuda that he who does not teach his son a trade teaches him thievery. And I said, wait. What was it? I know you brought the quote for the first part, but that end part of the quote, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. No, it's okay, it does make sense. Because we brought the whole quote. Right. The statement by Rabbi Yehuda is not part of the proof, but it's connected, right? Because he's quoting a braita that proves that the obligation of the father, only the father is obligated to do certain things to the son. And you happen to mention in that context, again, he brought a quote.
Okay. So
we have a problem with the second half of the quote.
So the Kushya or Teirut or whatever, it doesn't always have to relate to the main part.
Not at all. You bring a quote, you're responsible for the entire quote. Sometimes it will be connected, sometimes it won't be connected. In this case, it's not directly connected. But it's in the topic. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's get to work.
Sorry, which Sugya are the one we're working on?
The one we're working on, yeah. The one we just finished.
Go from top to bottom and...
Yeah. Run through it and see that you can actually read through it and actually understand it. Meaning, okay, just, meaning the goal you want to reach is that you're reading it without explaining. So maybe the first time around, read it and explain. Okay, just like read this a whole section, a whole stage, and explain it. Then do the next one and explain it. But the next stage would be to be able to just read through it and not have to explain it, not have to stop and explain. Because once you're able to actually read through it fluently, you know that you got it. Okay? So let's that's the goal, to read.
Let's do like, I don't know,
I have no idea if that works, but okay. There we go. Okay.
all mitzvot have been
Where are you reading from?
From here.
No, start from the Gemara. Start from the Gemara. Okay, guys, everyone start from the Gemara, don't start from the Mishnah.
Okay. My kol mitzvot have been al ha'av.
Do you think you're able to do it without explaining, or do you want to first read and explain, explain?
Maybe I'll read until I need the explanation.
Okay. No, I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to do it.
My kol mitzvot have been al ha'av. Elma kol mitzvot kimchiyot. Don't tell me all the mitzvot.
Don't tell me, if you tell me.
If you tell me all the mitzvot, obligation, if you tell me the mitzvot of that are obligation,
that are an obligation of the son to do to his father,
the women are exempt.
The women are exempt.
His mother and his father.
I have to remember, okay, so you have it highlighted, that's fine. So that means you have to read this all the way up to here, right? This is like one thing. My comments at the Ben actually should be a different color. My comments at the Ben stop. Stop. Because we have, right? Excuse me a second. This, right? Because you have 3 stages. My, so you should start reading from my. When you get to the word ilema, stop.
Right.
And when you start the word ilema, when you get to the word hatanya, stop. That's what this does. This also helps you figure out, like, the structure does more than just what's going on. It explains the whole dynamic. So when you're reading it and you're dividing it up, just from the way you speak.
Okay, cool.
Part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay? So go ahead.
Okay.
Start again. My
kol mitzvot haben al ha'av, el ma kol mitzvot temechia bara lemiyabed abad nashim v'torot.
Okay, did you understand what he read?
Yes.
Then continue.
So what is the maved?
To do.
Oh, sorry.
V'hatanai ish ein li ela ish isha minyan shehu omer.
No, why did you stop reading?
Shehu omer ish imo ba'aviv tiru.
Rei kan shnayim.
Rei kan shnayim. All right. I don't really understand. V'hatanai ish.
So what is it going to be doing now? It's going to be bringing. What is it going to be doing? Look at this.
I understand each part. I understand each. What?
So it means like.
It's going to come prove that this is not possible.
Right.
Okay? It's going to.
Ish ein li ela ish.
Okay.
Ish. That's a quote. You see that little dot? You remember? We learned that little dot is a quote. Ish. Okay? Man. And then it says, this is a quote from a pasuk. What is the pasuk? What is the actual whole pasuk? A man. Wait. A man, his father and his mother, they shall respect. That's the pasuk. That's the pasuk. Okay? A man and his. Excuse me. Sorry. The pasuk is a man, his father and his mother, they shall respect. So
How come that's not mentioned in here?
It is. Ish, look at the next line. Ish imo v'aviv tira.
Oh, okay.
You're right, but it's saying, but it doesn't necessarily say, here's the pasuk, and then when it says the word ish, it says, imagine if you're reading this in English, you wouldn't get stuck on the first word. You'd see that the sentence continues and the quote continues. You would see that. Okay? The Gemara wasn't written knowing ahead of time that people who read it don't understand the language. Okay?
Okay, so ish ein li ela ish.
No, ish. That's the quote. Man.
Yes.
Enli ela ish. The pasuk only mentions man. Isha minayin. From where do we know that also a woman is included in this? Answer. Shehu omer ish imo v'aviv tira'u. When the pasuk says a man, his mother and his father, they shall fear. Harei kan shnayim. Then this is referring to 2. So does this brayta show that both men and women are obligated in respecting and honoring their parents? It does. It just says explicitly. How do I know a woman also? Because it says plural. Okay?
It's confusing. I would have started with the quote and I would have said ish ein li ela ish.
I'll let the editorial board know.
Shehu omer. Okay, because it says ish imo v'aviv tiru. Right, tiru.
With his son.
Harei kan shnayim. Here they're talking about 2.
Okay. There 2. Okay. Wait. Let me to the beginning. Because just now you finished the she'elah. That's it. You just finished the she'elah with its 3 parts. So we do it from the beginning. So you can do it, the whole thing, with its 3 stages that gives you the whole she'elah. Go ahead.
Ma kol mitzvot haben al ha'av, el ma kol mitzvot
Ilema. Because it's 2 words. E is if. Lema is to say. Right? It's like the word in Torah by the Baal Shem Moshe lemo. Lema. Lemo means to say. From the word amar. Okay? So ilema. If you say. The word im lomar. If you say. Okay? So go ahead.
Ma kol mitzvot haben al ha'av, ilema kol mitzvot timchiyav, bara
Leme'avad.
La'aba nashim v'torot. Hatanai ish ein li ela ish. Isha minyan kashehu omer ish imo v'aviv tiru. Tira'u harei kan shnayim.
Did you get it? When you read it, you understood what you were reading and how they read it? Perfect.
Yeah, pronunciation without plural.
Okay, ready to continue?
Yeah.
Wait, before you do that, what's going to be happening? Now, make sure you know what's going to be happening so you can expect it and therefore make it easy for you to read. What is it going to be doing? So know what it says. What is it going to be doing?
I mean, it seems to me like they've answered the question. Now they're going to explain the answer.
No, all it is tell you what the answer is not going to be. Now I need to tell you the actual answer. What is that question? What is the mitzvah of the son upon the father? So what is it going to do? It's going to answer that by telling us what is it.
Roll can tell us what the father on son means.
Right. Go ahead.
We know what it doesn't mean.
Okay. Good.
We know that it's not the obligations of the son.
Now, so where's the stage going to start? With what word? Show me. Good. Where's it going to end?
I guess if my highlighting is correct, it's going to end there.
No. Well, no, you're highlighting actually it's over here. Because the next function word is going to be the word tanina, which is a quote, right? Anything that starts with the word with tapna, it's going to go till there. So now you know until we have to read. Go ahead. Now it's going to be the answer.
Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Hachikama, Kol Mitzvot Haben,
Hamutalot, that are literally tossed upon, or put upon, or that are upon.
Al Ha'av, La'asot, Labano, Anashim Chayavin, Anashim Pishorot. Rabbi Yehuda says that all the mitzvot that the son of the father,
where do we know?
obligated on the father. So the mitzvot of the son are put upon the father
to do to his son.
To his son. And Hashem are obligated and women are exempt.
Right?
Amar Rav Yehuda, Hakikama, Kol Mitzvot Haben, Hamutulot, Al Ha'av, La'asot Labano, Anashim Chayavin, Anashim Patorot.
Got it? Good. Now, what is it going to be doing now? What is going to be happening now?
He's going to prove.
He's going to prove what?
What he's stating that
Which is that what?
Which is that the obligations of the father are the obligations to the son of the father is not good.
Very good. And until where is it going to go?
I guess after that.
Correct.
Until there.
Commentaries on all this stuff. What we read.
So continue on. I'm just going to circulate a little bit. You guys okay? Great. You both read it? To each other?
More than
I used it last week. I read it.
Okay.
A little bit of help from him.
Took the easy way out, huh?
Oh, but he knows. He helped me.
That's what they want you to think. Alex Ivor, you guys good? Yeah? Okay.
Right, so where we
Tanina Leha.
Tanina Laha.
The Tanu Rabbanan. That's an acronym.
What are you talking about?
No.
Not your sons?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little smushed up. Yeah.
It should be a thief.
Limolo.
Then the answer is
Good. Good.
don't take
Good. That's the yeah, you got it right.
I know.
V'yesh omrim. And there are those who say
Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kol She'eino Milmad Melamed Et Bano Obnot Milmodo Listot.
Okay, do you understand what you just read? Perfect. What's going to happen now?
What are the obligations?
Right, it's proved that it's just the father. Ha'av chayav. The father is obligated. Okay? Good. What's going to happen now?
So they're going to ask a question on what
Bara
What is it? Is it a question?
Well, it's kind of a question. It's
No, it's not a question.
Listot.
Listut sal kadata. It's not a question.
It's
an attack.
It's an attack. Okay, but it could be a question. I didn't know.
Now when you say, could you possibly think that? Is it possible to think that? That's not his
Yeah, but I
question.
didn't know that it was going to be an attack. It could have been a question. I mean,
No, you only know it because from beforehand you know it's going to be an attack.
yeah.
If it weren't told you beforehand, you would have no idea until you actually read it. So go ahead.
Okay, so listot
Sal kadata.
ela כאילו מלמדו listot
That's it. You see there's the colon there? That's it. Okay? Okay.
all right, so
That's it.
ela כאילו מלמדו listot.
Rather, this is if he's teaching. Okay. You want to try now reading it from the beginning to the end without stopping and following it in your mind. Go ahead.
מה כל מצוות הבן על האב אלא מה כל מצוות דמחייה ברא למבט לאבא נשים פטרות. והתנאי איש אין לי אלא איש אישה מניין שהוא אומר איש אמו ואביו תראו הרי כאן שניים. אמר רב יהודה הכי כמה כל מצוות הבן המוטלות על האב אמר רבי יהודה כל מצוות הבן על האב לעשות לבנו אנשים חייבים ונשים פטרות. תנינה לה
תנו רבנן.
האב חייב בבנו למולו ולפלטו וללמדו תורה ולהשיעו אישה וללמדו אמונות ויש אומרים אף לאשתו במים. רבי יהודה אומר כל שאינו מלמד את בנו אמונות ילמדו לסטות. לסטות אלא כאילו מלמדו לסטות ולמלוא
You followed it?
Yeah. I can't get my head around it, but
so you got to keep on practicing it. Okay, we have. Let's see, what time is it? Do we have time to start at the next sugya? Let's see.
It's 22.
Yeah, we can start. Okay, good. Here, how are you guys faring?
Generally, sort of okay.
Generally, sort of okay. Good. Okay, let's see. Am I in the frame? No, it's low. Just, there we go. Okay. Okay. So, in order to continue to the next sugya, but it's not really the next sugya. So, what do I mean by that? Okay, so we all know and understand exactly where we finished off at that sugya. I want you to think not like in Gemara context, in your own context. Are you satisfied with where this sugya ends? As far as, do you feel that it's reached a logical conclusion that you are satisfied with?
No.
Why not?
So it hasn't addressed some of the remaining questions, like what, if any, are obligations on the women,
Okay, good. So it has an open question of, do women have no obligation towards the children? Okay. What else is, are you not, could be still left open? Right. We reached a conclusion that the last stage of the sugya was. We had a question, we have an answer, and we have proof. So let me ask like this. Do you feel the proof is a good proof? Right? The proof, what was the proof? A Braita, a Tanaic source, which is a valid, as credible a source as you can get, comes and says, look, I will prove to you that it is the man's obligation to fulfill the mitzvah towards his child. Okay? And how does the Braita do this? The Braita, remember, the Braita's business that's being quoted this Braita was not written here. Okay? The Gemara here imports the Braita to try to prove its point. Okay? Our Gemara, or our Mishnah our Gemara is claiming that only a man is obligated to fulfill the mitzvah towards his children. And in an attempt to prove its point, it imports this external source, the Braita, that's what a Braita is, an external Tanaic source, to prove it. And how does it use the Braita to prove its point? By saying, the Braita, again, the Braita is not discussing, all the Braita is saying is the following. A father is obligated to do the following things for his son. Brit Milah, Pidyon Haben, marry him off, teach him a trade, teach him Torah, and that also say also to swim. Okay? The Braita is not talking about our topic. Right? The Braita is just saying just that. A father is obligated to do 5 things, and some people say 6 things towards his son. Okay? And that is what the Gemara, the Mishnah is using, or the Gemara, to try to prove that. Okay. Now, if you're sitting in the Bet Midrash and you hear this discussion, that someone's using this quote, are you satisfied?
Well, it's only given 5 or 6 proofs. What about the other 100
excellent.
things?
So he's saying another thing that would be in your mind would be open. Well, you haven't proven that all, right? The first word in the Mishnah is all of the mitzvot that the father is obligated to his son, women are exempt. You haven't proven to me that all. All you've proven to me is that 6. Excellent. Great. That is a excellent what we call in the past second level thinking. The Gemara is done, and then you say, wait a second, but there's something open here. You're Gemaraing the Gemara. You're saying a kushya, advanced kushya. This is not a good proof. This doesn't make sense, because what about everything else? Then possible chakira, possible investigation would be, is there anything else? Maybe those are the only things that you're meaning, if you would come to conclusion, or if I could prove to you that those are the only obligations you have towards your child, then it would serve as an excellent proof. But if you can discover or figure out or prove or claim that there are other obligations, like feeding your child, okay, let's say, if I was able to prove that it is an obligation, then you come and say, well, you haven't proven everything, you've just proven 6. Okay, is there anything else left open about how we use this, about this source? So you guys are thinking in the right direction, but it's actually simpler. Because my question would be, you just brought this source, and we're all very placated. So if you brought the source, then okay, you're just the only option is the only question is does this source actually answer the question or prove it or not? But here's a better question: how do we know the Braita is right? Does the Braita, the Braita just made this statement? You brought this source, and if I'm sitting for the side, I'm saying, a man is obligated to do 6 things to his son. You need to circumcise him, you need to teach him how to swim, and if I would tell you this, the Torah says you have to teach your son how to swim, you need to teach him a trade. What would be the immediate answer, response you would give me?
I'll show me way.
Really? I've never heard that. I've never read a mitzvah that says I have to teach my son how to swim. And yeah, it makes sense, they should have to teach him how to swim, but where does it say such a thing? And where does it say that or connected more to Sugya? Okay, yeah, I know it says I have to give my son a Brit Milah, but where does it say that if I said to you, listen, the Torah obligates only you, but not your wife, to give, the Torah exempts your wife from giving a Brit Milah? What would be your immediate question?
Sure.
Meaning, show me, where did you get this from? I know that I have a chiyuv to do Brit Milah to my son, but where are you getting this from that my wife is exempt from it? Where are you getting this from that I have an obligation to marry off my daughter, my son, or whatever, my son, at all? Where does it say you have to do that? Let alone to say, where does it say that my wife is exempt from it? So, again, because we just assume anything that's written in here is okay. But the Gemara is about to come and say, wait a second, you just brought this external source, smack entire Sugya, wait a second, I'm not willing to accept this just as, yeah, okay, prove it to me. You just made a big statement. How do I know this is true? That I have to give bring that to my son, and my wife is exempt. That's right. That's the proof you're trying to bring. But you just said it. Yeah.
Sorry, are you saying? How do I know that the Braita is right? Or
yeah.
I thought.
Because if you
argue with the Mishnah if you're in the Gemara.
I'm not arguing with the Mishnah. But I would like you to I would like to understand this Braita. You're right. I cannot argue. I cannot come and say, I disagree, but come and say, I would like, please back this up. Where do you know this from? I want to make sure it makes sense. I want to make sure it's right. I want to make sure I understand where it's from. Because as we'll see as we go on later on, understanding where the source of it is will lead into a lot of, not only intricate understandings, but also different implications and ramifications and all these investigations. It's not just for the sake of, being annoying and asking all kinds of annoying questions. It's because the answers clarify the mitzvah, clarify, when it's obligated, when it's not obligated, who it's obligated in this situation and that situation. I mean, you'll see soon when we get into this sugya, which is a short sugya, you'll see that this question will lead to some very interesting scenarios that until I learned the sugya, I never knew. Okay? For instance, just to kind of whet our appetite, it's going to talk about the fact that if someone is not circumcised, okay, by his father, let's say his parents or his father, did not fulfill his obligation to give him a brit milah, it is an obligation on the community to make sure that this child has a brit milah. It becomes a public obligation with its own mitzvah, with its own pasuk, that obligating the community to make sure that every male in the community has a brit milah. Let's not even try to imagine how you would enforce such a thing. But there's not an obligation on the easiest way to imagine it is someone who an orphan, who actually doesn't have parents. It is an obligation on the community. There's a pasuk in the Torah obligating the community to make sure that everyone has a brit milah.
So there's a single mother, let's say, she could say, I'm not paying for a while, but this community should be paying. Theoretically.
Could be. Yeah. So when we get there, we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's off topic, but isn't there, we know of a situation in the Torah where a woman does brit milah.
Just because, yeah.
So
just because a woman is exempt doesn't mean she's not allowed to do it.
Right.
Like sitting in a sukkah. Women are exempt from sitting in a sukkah. It's not that they're forbidden from sitting in a sukkah. They're just exempt from it. Right? So,
but that's
becoming exempt, meaning can a woman do a brit milah to her son? Absolutely. Is she obligated to do a brit milah to her son? No, she's not. But she can. Okay? Okay, so we don't have time to go into the sugya, but we have our sheets already, so we know that we're there. But that's the next step. The link to the next sugya is if you just look at the very first words of the sugya that we will see, at least we saw a little bit of it, right? You see, lemulo menalan. It doesn't even give us a whole statement. What is the words lemulo menalan? The word menalan we know very well already. What does menalan mean?
From where?
From where? So it's not asking lemulo, meaning what's lemulo? What is the phrase lemulo taken from? So where's that phrase taken from? It's what? From the Braita. It's just one word because you're quoting the Braita, right? If you look at the Braita, ha'av chayav yivno lemulo. Okay, you guys see it?
Lemulo is like it's in quotes.
Lemulo, yeah, lemulo. You just said lemulo. I'm quoting you. I'm just continuing the Braita. You brought the Braita. Excuse me. You brought a source. Stop. Let's learn that source. Okay. And lemulo. You said that the father is obligated. The father, parentheses, not the mother, is obligated to circumcise to give a brit milah to her son. Menalan. From where do we know this? Okay. And then how is he going to answer it? What's the next word? Dichtiv. Because if I ask you, well, how do you know that you have to give a brit milah to your son? What would you say to me? It says in the Torah. It's a pasuk. Right? And that's how it's going to continue. Okay? And then from there we're gonna. But what's going to happen over the next page and a half of the Gemara is it's going to basically dissect each part of that Braita and saying, from where do you know that a father and not a mother is obligated to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are those who say 6. Okay? And it's going to talk about each one of those and try to understand, A, from where do we know the father is obligated to do it? And B, from where do we know that the mother is not obligated to do it? So we have to prove 2 things, because that's what the Braita is trying to do. That's what the Gemara used the Braita for. to prove that all the mitzvot that a parent needs to do to a child, men are obligated, women are exempt. So we have to prove both things about each one of them. And that's what we're going to start doing next week. Hold on to these, okay? Because we're going to start by going back to basics. We're going to identify function words. We're going to create a logical sequence. Then we're going to create a flow chart, and then we're going to read the text. But next week we're going to start off by doing Chazara. And we're just going to read through the thing until we know it cold. Until we just know it cold.
So it's going to deal with those 5 or 6 things, but not deal with the question yet. Okay. It's just like the Bright is just dealing with 6 things. It could be another 50 things that both.
It's not going to deal with that. No, right now you brought the Breita. The Gemara is not going to do that later.
Oh, so they don't deal with it?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
But it's a question.
No, it's your question. It's a great question. It could be that I don't think the Gemara asks that. You came with the question the Gemara didn't think of, or the Gemara didn't think was a good question. Don't assume. Don't assume that. It could be a Gemara question the Gemara did not. Either it knew it wasn't the question because it really is only those 6, and it was obvious to the Gemara, or the Gemara didn't think of asking it. There are plenty of questions that later generations came up with that the Gemara didn't think of.